Over the past few weeks, I've been busy making prints from the finished block set. The main goal was to figure out which colors Akiko and I wanted to use for the final print. Here you can see I've collected a couple different color variations, and I've been basically working back and forth with Akiko to decide which colors we like and what we think looks best. The prints aren't perfect because I use dry paper, but this allowed me to work a lot faster. The rest of this video will show the latest printing I did. This time I actually did use moistened paper because I wanted to practice some new techniques. You just watched me pull some paper out of the freezer. This is part of a technique that I've been wanting to try for a long time. Essentially, you're freezing the paper to maintain the water distribution, and it allows you to print over many days rather than just all at once. Learning this process is key for the project. It's a print with many impressions, so I'll have to stretch it over multiple days. This run seemed to go really well. I ended up doing it over 3 days, and I didn't have too much trouble with it. I won't go too far into the details though, since I'm still learning this myself, and I don't want to lead anyone down the wrong way. This is part of that process. I'm packing the prints into a freezer bag so I can continue working on them the next day. Here I'm going to show some footage from the last 3 impressions, and while I do that I'll talk about kind of where we're at with the print and what my next plans are. Assuming everything went to plan, this was going to be my last batch of prints before making the real copies. I think we've nailed in the color choices enough to the point where if there's any small things left to tweak, I can probably jump to that on the actual copies. Recently I ordered some paper from the Awagami factory in Japan. This is the paper that I plan to use on my final prints, and I'm really excited to receive that. It's pre-sized paper, so once it comes I just need to cut it down to the right dimension. I think the hardest part about printing the final batch will be to maintain the level of moisture in the paper. I'm going to have to print over many days because these prints are 29 or 30 impressions, and since I'm going to want to make a larger quantity, I'm going to have to do fewer impressions at a time. I'm guessing it'll probably take about a week to do 1 batch of prints. I do feel much more confident now that I've finally tried the paper freezing technique. Also, I've gotten some tips from others recently that'll help me out on this. One of them was to use clear nail polish in the corner of the paper that goes into the kento. The purpose is to strengthen and maintain the shape of that corner so it's easy to get in and out of the registration marks. I tried that on this batch and it worked super well. It was really easy to apply and it did exactly what it was meant to do. Another consideration for the final prints is to continue working on those smooth, flat color areas. It's always something that I'm struggling with, but I'm curious to see how the new paper will play into that. At this point, I'm really happy with how the colors came out on this last practice batch. There's still some tweaks to be made, but I feel confident enough that I can make those changes once I get to the final prints. When I put the papers back into the Ziploc bags, I always flip them 180 degrees to keep the moisture constant. As a side note, you can see I forgot to do that here and I didn't even realize it till I watched the video back. A new habit I've picked up is to take notes after each print run. I'll write down things like what color I used, how I made that color, maybe I did multiple impressions on a certain block, or maybe just the order of impressions I'm taking. This all will help me to be more consistent when it comes to making these prints again, and it'll just help me remember how I achieved a certain look. It's almost becoming a tradition, so here's the video of me unpacking the dried prints. I use the wood on top for weight, and then I just use some simple cardboard to place between the moistened prints, so it's not a final solution, but I did it this time because it's what I had laying around. When I make the final batches, I'll find a proper material to use for that. And here's the usual close-up. I think it came out really well, like I said, and I think the next step is to make the final version. So, super excited for that video. It'll be a big one, and I actually wanted to show I did just receive the paper in the mail today, so getting close. As usual, if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it.